All right, welcome back to the Coyote Radio Show and podcast. We got two guests today. We got Moonlight Miles, the band. Check them out. They kind of had a viral hit, and some other songs are starting to take off. A song called Honey, a song called Heroin. Some great videos online on YouTube you can check out. I got links in the description there. And yeah, we're going to be talking to frontman Jonathon and his drummer and son Asher's with him. And yeah, just kind of get the whole backstory how the band started, what to expect for this year. And they're coming to Pickin in the Backwoods Music Festival. You're going to hear me talk about Pickin in the Backwoods a lot because, I'm one of the guys putting it on. So we're super proud and excited to have them. And yeah, those dates are August 7th, 8th, and 9th. So yeah, go mark it down. We'll have tickets available very soon. So got to give it up to Duke's Indie, Jam Nation, and Bard Distillery. Their support for this podcast means the world to me, and they just love good music. And so do we. So it all works out. Check out the links. Good bourbon, good music. Jam Nation's going to be on the podcast soon too. I'm going to go ahead and let that cat out of the bag too. But yeah, I'm done rambling. Let's go. Let's go talk to Jonathon and Asher. All right, everyone, welcome back to the Coyote Radio Show and podcast. We got two guests on the show today. Moonlight Mile from Kentucky's with us. We got Jonathon and his son Asher joining us to kind of fill us in on everything really that what they're up to as far as music goes. I'm a fan. I'm sure you've noticed. I've noticed there's a couple songs that kind of semi went viral for you a little bit, I would say, and catching on
Almost.
in the region.
For Sandy Hook, it's viral.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. No, but thank you for coming on. I can't wait to hear the whole story, and we'll go ahead and announce it. It's you guys are coming to the Pickin' in the Backwoods Festival.
We were so excited too.
I'm ready
Yes,
for it.
man.
So it's going to be a good
Yes,
time. But
it's gonna be
yeah,
awesome.
take us on that journey. Where do we start with the music?
Okay, well, I can take you back kind of the beginning. This band started out. It was me and a guy named Shane Johnson, and I was basically had been doing when I lived up. My wife's from the Twin Cities, and so for many years I lived in the Midwest, and I grew up in Sandy Hook, hometown of Keith Whitley. Born and raised, I was 21 and moved away, and I lived a lot of time in the Midwest. He was born in Minnesota, actually. Yep. And so I got into a lot of. I grew up on bluegrass and also grunge music, kind of a mix of those two things. Early on, it was grunge, and then that transitioned to bluegrass, and I was into church music and this and that and the other. And I moved away, and I started listening to band, like artists like Ryan Adams or bands like Wilco, Sunvolt,
Yeah.
and realized you can kind of put these two things together. You can take this bluegrass thing and this Appalachian thing and mix it with this with rock music, and there's really cool sounds. So I was in a band called the Dead Flowers in the Twin Cities, and we played a lot of played one of Prince the big place First Ave Prince's thing where he recorded Purple Rain. We got to play there and a few places like that in the Twin Cities. Got to record in one of Prince's studios. It was cool. It was awesome. Never met Prince, but it was just cool to be able to see where he had touched, in Minneapolis. And long story short, that band kind of ended, and we ended up in two or three other places throughout the Midwest and in and out of different towns. And I was involved in different churches and this, that, and the other. And long story short, my dad passed away, and I came back home in 2018, and I was at a place where I had time to start doing music again. And I looked for a rock band. I was going to put it like a country rock sort of thing, kind of like what I was doing up north. And I couldn't find a band. Drummers were like really hard to find, it still is that to find a drummer that drums and also is able to drum. just,
Yeah.
just being honest, and it's not easy. So I ended up picking up a dobro player, and we were doing this really. We got a hold of Fat Sam from Fat Cave Studios. I met him, and I said, "Hey, could you record a few videos for us?" And so they came out from Slade, and and recorded 3 videos on a bridge in Sandy Hook. And we put those videos out and started to get a little bit of attention. And that's how we ended up on Red Barn Radio from that. And then from Red Barn Radio, Shane left, and a few more people joined the band, and we did Radio WV, and we did put out Honey and Heroin on Radio WV. We got about 260,000 views or something like that. So like I said, for Sandy Hook, it's viral.
We should clarify too. We're talking about Sandy Hook, Kentucky, right? Not
Correct.
Tennessee.
Not the road out. No, not the ominous one. No. Sandy Hook, Kentucky, hometown of Keith Whitley, and it's a little town in the middle of nowhere.
It's true.
There's Grayson and Moorhead and Ashland, and Sandy Hook's kind of like through the hills.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
yeah. Well,
so
Keith Whitley's enough inspiration for anyone to pick up a, guitar or any sort of music.
my dad was friends with Keith. They actually
Really?
got in a fight. They got in a fight. They literally got in a fist fight. This is a true story. I tell it at shows all the time. He really got in a fight with Keith Whitley over a girl, and I indulge. I always say that my dad was going to literally beat Keith Whitley to death, but at the very last second, Keith looked at my dad and said, "Bill, I'll be a legend if you let me live another day." And Bill Pennington let him. No, I always make that part up. But he did get in a fight with Keith. And Dwight, which is Keith's brother, I'm really good friends with him and Flo. Flo's always putting us in the Elliott County paper. Shout out to the Elliott County paper, Elliott County News. We love those two. And so Keith's family, I grew up with him. His nephew, I was really close friends with. And so he's kind of touched. And honestly, the first show that I technically say that I've ever went to, I was sitting on my front porch in Sandy Hook when Keith played the Tobacco Festival back in the 80s. So I can remember standing on my front porch and hearing Keith, like down the road at the Tobacco Festival. So it's pretty cool to grow up.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that makes it easy for you, Asher. You were from the get-go. It sounds like when you were born, you were just immersed in all the music that you could handle through your dad even.
I don't know why he never brought this up, but he played in churches all throughout the Midwest. I mean, that's where I heard most of the time my dad playing music. That's where I heard my dad play music. He was a worship leader in Nebraska and Kansas City too, right?
Kansas City. We were in Kansas City, the big church of Kansas City, and I led worship and I played like guitar on a bunch of different teams. And and then Asher actually was in utero. In his mommy's belly at a Smashing Pumpkins concert.
Kind of ironic in utero.
In utero, Nirvana, and he was literally doing somersaults. I'll never forget. Like he was the firstborn, and we were at this the Smashing Pumpkins at this. It was I think the Orpheum in Minneapolis, and it was like insanely loud. And he was just like
he was to bring a baby there.
Maybe not. Maybe that's what. Well, maybe it brought you here. Right? Might have hurt your hearing a little bit, but
I can't hear very well.
But Tara said he's like he is literally spinning in circles in my belly, and it was really a cool thing. But that was So I always like to say at least that did something with her.
Maybe. Hey, Jimmy Chamberlain, he's great.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
that's great. Oh, I love how that's all come together for you guys, and especially being able to play with your son on the road. And I mean, that's pretty unique. It's out there. People do it all the time, but it's still, I feel like it's kind of a unique thing too,
It is, and honestly, for me, the hardest thing about being in a band, and this is really why I never pursued music before, is because I wanted a family. I was an only child, and I always wanted a big family. We have 5 kids, and he's the oldest, and everybody says, "Why in the world do you have?" Why do you want us to be kids? I was an only child. I grew up without any brothers or sisters in the middle of nowhere, Sandy Hook, and it was really boring. Everybody was so far away that, back then there wasn't the internet or any way to talk to people or connect with people. And so I played a lot of action figures. I was really big into He-Man, Transformers, and all that. But I didn't have a lot of close friends to play in the neighborhood with. And so I always wanted a big family. Tara, my wife has a brother, but she kind of always wanted a big family too. So we had a lot of kids, and with a lot of kids, there was no time for music other than in church. So my kids would sit through these church services, and they learned a lot about music just being in. We would have revivals that would go, 2 or 3 days in a row, and long weekends, and we were in a charismatic Protestant church, so there was 2 or 3 hour services of music that just goes on forever, and it was. I probably helped to influence you, I guess, some there.
I guess.
Some sort of way or another.
Yeah.
It wasn't all roses and flowers. We will say that,
Right.
but there was good things happening. So
Yeah. Um, you got a powerful voice. Like you really project it real well. So that's definitely that rock side of it all. I can feel that.
well, and my poppy was a preacher. His brother played with Ralph Stanley a few times.
Ooh.
Uh, his name was Klein Blevins was my great uncle's name. He played with Ralph a little bit, and my poppy, Klein played guitar and was a really good guitar picker. And my poppy was a really good singer, and Poppy had such a loud voice. He'd get up and sing in church, and his voice was. People honestly like. He was a preacher, but they liked hearing him sing. They always said about as much, if not better, than to hear him preach. They liked his preach too, but that he was just a really good singer, real powerful voice. My mom, I grew up listening to my mom sing. My mom was a singer in church, and then I sang with her when I learned to play guitar. I'd sing tenor for her. She would play, and I'd listen to those old Ralph Stanley records and learned how to sing tenor and learned a lot about music through that. But it kind of really came from growing up in a regular Baptist church where I don't know if you know much about the regular Baptists, but they're pretty vocal. Their songs are pretty emotional, and they may not be as emotional as like maybe a charismatic or a Pentecostalish type church, but they're not so Baptist that their music is a little bit, kind of traditional. It's kind of somewhere in between where they get emotional and they cry, and there's a lot of emotion that goes along with it, and so I've always, I grew up with that. Like these Appalachian songs that are coming out, that you see a lot of these bands coming out that have that Appalachian sound where they're like, it's like they're hollering. It is. It's
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we are. That's the way we learn to sing. That's the way people are. Our fathers and mothers sang. To us. So that's what we heard, and that's we're just kind of copying really that what we
Yeah.
grew up in.
Yeah, let's t speaking of that, let's talk about a couple of these songs, that have that kind of I mentioned Honey already, but
Sure.
like would you I guess how did you come about writing these?
Sure. That's a good question. To be completely honest, I went through a kind of a desert of writing. I didn't write a lot. Especially when I was in church. The churches I was in were really big on like you got to go full force for God, and you can't do anything but that. So if you're even like trying to dip your toes in the world, so to speak, then you're not on the path. And so I wrote a lot of worship stuff, and so I did that for a long period of time. But then when I moved back home, just to kind of touch onto it, I don't want to get too deep into it, but basically, our church got kind of messy, and it was time for us to leave. My dad passed away. Everything was ending all at once in Nebraska, and we came home, and I kind of got a really bad taste in my mouth towards the church, at that point, honestly, towards God. And I've worked that out since then. I probably have a better spiritual relationship than I had in probably all my life now, after the winds have kind of died down. But that it brought me here, and so I turned back to my love of music, and that was about the time 2018. I was flying. I flew in for a job interview at the DOC. I ran a SAT program for the DOC. I was going to I was applying for a position to run a substance abuse program for the DOC, and I had to fly in. They because we were in Nebraska, they were so scared that I was just somebody, I guess, probably bringing in drugs or something, that they made me fly into Sandy Hook to take a P test at the DOC. So I had to pay for a plane ticket, fly into Sandy Hook, where I grew up all my life. And I know all these people, like I grew up with them. Like I know it's like, come on, really. But I flew in, took a P test, and passed, and got that job. And that brought us home. And after we came home, I really, Tyler, I'm on the plane ride home. That first, the three songs where it's Nose to the Grindstone, that the Hope, our vinyl album had just came out,
I
and I was
love
like,
that.
oh my goodness, this
That
is.
song is brutal. I
I
love
was
it.
just like, this is it. This is the sound. Like I'm and a little bit in a way jealous too. Is I'm like, this is what I was doing. This is what I was doing up north, and
Yeah.
I've spent 7 to 10 years in Nebraska, like put it aside, and it's like this guy got it. He put that sound on record and got it out, and it was because it's that voice of so many. I mean, most of my friends I grew up. I moved away in 2003, and I just missed the pill epidemic. And the pills came through about 2003, and I moved away, met my wife, and I moved away.
Hmm.
I don't think I'd be here if I didn't leave in 2003. My
Yeah.
uncle died. Majority of my friends and family are dead. It ravaged Eastern Kentucky. It literally just,
Absolutely. Yeah.
you know, and then that song. So I was like, that song is everything about like
It hit
all that
home.
period of time that I was gone, and I remember listening to it on the plane when I was flying in to take that drug test. I was listening to Nose of the Grindstone, and so that kind of inspired me to kind of get back into it. So a lot of those songs, to go back, sorry, rabbit trail, but to go back to
No, it's good.
what you asked, that's when I started to write, and most of these songs are written within the last 2 or 3 years. They're all pretty new, except for the song "Sound of a Heart Growing Cold." I wrote that. My grandfather had committed suicide. Um, Long history of addiction, and he committed suicide. And my uncle had committed suicide. A good friend had jumped off a bridge. We lost our first baby. It's just a bunch of really traumatic stuff all at once. And I wrote that song when we were still living up north in the near the Twin Cities. But everything else was written just within a short little period of time.
Yeah.
And honestly, I've been writing the second album. Our second album is all ready to go too. So we're going to release two more songs. We're going to re-release "Honey" on our new album in about a couple months. We're going to put it out. Jimbo Valentine did all the art. It'll be "Honey," a reprise version of "Honey," and then another song that'll be on this album. It'll all come out together. And then we're headed out to record the second album, which is also all ready to go. And we're going to all written, and just needs to be recorded. We're going to go out there and record, and then hopefully it'll be released by fall is the plan.
Maybe.
I'm really pushing for fall, if not winter.
Yeah.
The first album was kind of slow goings to get it all recorded and everything done, but this next one we're hoping to get it out a little faster. But
Yeah.
been writing like
Heck,
crazy.
you're busy. Uh, so I guess in total for the first album, now you got all the pieces together.
Yeah.
How many tracks are going to be on that?
10
additional
total
added.
songs, right? Or is Honey make it 11? Because
11.
there's two Honeys.
Reprise.
I think it's 11 with the Honey reprise. But it should be a total of, I think, 10 songs will be on this album. Most of the songs are already out, so we kind of did the whole
Yeah.
single. So all the recent studio stuff will all be on there, and then there'll be a new mix of the original Honey recording, and then there'll be a reprise, so a new revisit to Honey, and then there's also a cover coming out too that's going to be on that album too. That'll release hopefully in a couple of months.
Okay. Well, heck, are you going to have vinyls?
Yes, that's the plan. I
Yes.
wasn't.
Hopefully.
No, I found this site because last I talked to him, we weren't doing vinyls because they were so damn expensive.
They are, and there's
Yeah.
a lot of artists I really like that, they're just getting going or whatever, and it's a hell of an investment for.
You have to buy a ton of them.
Yeah.
But I found a site the other day. I sent it to your mom that you can order them just a few at a time, like one or two or three or four at a time, and they print them out really fast and send them to you. I have not spent much time checking that out, but that's my plan. So if that all works out, we'll have a few vinyls and we'll buy them a little bit at a time and have those on hand too. So
That's great.
and CDs.
Of course.
So
Um, yeah, it's funny how vinyls have came back into the pictures. It's very popular. I mean, you can't really see in the image, but that's a whole shelf full of stuff. But I started with my grandma's collection when she passed. I got all the
sure.
Elvis records,
Oh
and I just
sure.
kind of went from there. But
They're just cool to have. They're cool to look at. I like looking at them. I like just having them sitting at, they're
yeah,
just, yeah.
I love album art. I went to art school for photography, and
Oh, okay.
along the way, I took all the other, I did 4 years of drawing and this, that, and the other. So I love art. So
That's awesome,
that's the
man.
best
Yeah.
way to view it. Big
Sure.
12 by 12 square
Right.
album art is great. Uh, and even some of those cassettes are kind of coming back. There's a handful of guys
Yeah, cassettes are coming
selling.
back.
Uh, but someone needs to go the extra step, even though they probably won't be able to play it. But someone started making 8 tracks again.
I'll tell you what, who did? Laidback put out 8 tracks not too long ago.
You know what? Who else?
Did you buy one
That
of
would
those?
be the
I bought
guy to
one.
do it.
He did. It's great too. He literally put. I think from what if I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure like he spun those himself. Like he took old 8 tracks. He had some sort of like contraption that he could like record
Oh, that's
over old eight
awesome.
tracks, and he did the art for like pasted the little thing on it and everything. But I had
Daniel
one.
Johnston,
Yeah,
that's
it's
what
great.
Daniel did with
When he put his stuff out.
Yeah, he gave them all out to Austin.
Okay.
He made every single one.
Taped parts. Yeah. So
Over
that's,
8 tracks.
that's
No,
what.
he didn't tape it. He re-recorded it.
Oh, did
He
he?
played the album in full every single time. And he made Hi How Are You.
Asher's a big Daniel Johnston fan. For those that know Daniel Johnston out there, he's a what was the name of that? The Devil and Daniel Johnston. If you guys want to watch a good documentary, check it out. It's all about Daniel.
Yep. I just watched that a couple weeks ago.
Did you?
Great.
Oh, we love it. That's one of our favorites.
It's a good documentary. Man,
Yeah.
what a life!
Right?
Yeah. We were talking about the plane crash a few days ago.
Yeah, because we were talking about Sonic Youth, and I said, you
By
realize?
the way, fuck Sonic. Can I say F words? Frick Sonic Youth. They're mean to Nardward.
He found the video of Sonic Youth being mean to Nardward recently, so he's kind of salty to Sonic Youth.
Yeah,
but I was.
Me and Sonic Youth aren't on talking terms. We were before.
Yeah, before you guys were like this,
Yeah.
and
Me and Kim Gordon.
Is he allowed to cuss?
Yeah, you can say
Okay. So anyway, Daniel goes and for those that don't know, Daniel goes to Sonic Youth gets Daniel is able to record Daniel's first. I guess it was one of his first albums.
Well,
it's going to be a first studio album.
Studio album.
And like he has a mental health episode and then crashes the plane.
They had to fly out, and his dad's a
pilot. And he crashes the plane with his dad.
Crashes the plane with his dad. He
was like, he's so big now. He's like, I'm getting older. My son overpowered me. He took the plane over.
That's what he says.
It's like, what do you do? Like, jeez.
That's it. We're going down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great documentary for people. Need to check that out.
Yeah.
So what about the second record? What's the arrangement like as far as instrument wise? How many tracks? That sort of thing as well.
Second record, I think is it 10 again too? And I've already got the demo out.
Recorded.
I might be able to send you the demo just if you keep it to yourself. I'll
take it.
For his eyes only, people. But I've sent a few of them out. But the demo is all ready to go. All the songs are the songs that we're going to pick are on there. The arrangement is planning to be kind of what we're playing now, which is acoustic drums, electric guitars. We're going to throw some pedal steel on there and some fiddle probably, and there might be some, banjo and mandolin in places, in places, but it's going to be more experimental. The producer that I'm looking to go with, he's really wanting to get. We want to get out of when we play, bar band basically is what we're playing at a lot of places, but we want that. We want some of that on the album, but we also want it to be more experimental and have it, more genre bending, so some psychedelia, but also some Appalachian, so some bluegrass and some country, and we want to kind of blend some stuff together a little bit more.
Yeah.
The last album was pretty much all bluegrass. The guy that helped me do that used to play in Dan Tyminski's band. He played banjo for Dan Tyminski, toured with Dan Tyminski. His name's Tony Ray. Shout out Tony Ray.
The fiddle player that plays on it is Alan Jackson's fiddle
Yeah,
player.
he plays Alan Jack. Played with Alan Jackson in Shenandoah. Name's Tim Crouch, and
Really
so
good.
those two did a lot of the music parts, and I sang all of it, and I
parts.
played and sang acoustic guitar, and so the rest of it is them, and so
Yeah.
it'll be a similar thing to that with this one, but we'll be doing more out of branching out of bluegrass. What I was trying to do with that album, to be honest, is I moved back home and I'm like, bluegrass. If this is the direction we're going to go bluegrass. The problem is because it's so traditional bluegrass here.
Yes,
They were
it
like,
is.
What in the hell are you doing, man?
That ain't
Let's go.
bluegrass around here, buddy. I already
You
can tell.
you said the F word. I heard the F word. We ain't putting you
Yeah.
on our stage. So that's what happened. I came home and I thought, oh, they're gonna love this, and they absolutely like. It was the
Yeah.
opposite. So I had friends that are in these big bluegrass bands, and they're like, "Yeah, they ain't gonna put you on. No, they ain't gonna put you on." So I was like, "Okay, I got this genre that I'm gonna have to fit into playing these other shows because the bluegrass world didn't. We got to open. Not gonna say that we didn't. We got playlist Johnny's. We did open up for Ralph Stanley too, third time out, and we opened up for that was the one at the Mac, right?
Yeah.
And opened up for Don Rigsby and Hammertown, and we got to open for some bands. We got to play Poppy a couple times, but
Yeah.
for the most part, it was hard getting in there. So kind of, which is good for me because I wanted to be able to play electric guitar and all that stuff anyway. So it's going to work out for us anyway in the long run. And I still put out a bluegrass album. So
Yeah. Hey, I like it.
yeah,
Yeah, you know what? Speaking of, you said Ralph Stanley too. I think we reached out to them to play at Pickin in the Backwoods.
really.
Yeah, it didn't work out with scheduling or something.
Oh,
I don't remember what it was because that was for the first year that we had it.
okay,
This is year two for people listening that not sure what we're talking about, but
sure.
um, maybe I'll circle back next year and see.
That'd be great. Man,
That's what I
Ralph
want
said,
this festival to be is a blend of like there's no if it's good is what I like to
right.
say. I don't the genres
Yeah,
are just kind of help gear people towards like give them an idea, but I wouldn't just like stick someone in a category. Well, we
that's
got
it.
like blues, rock, folk music, Americana, indie rock mixed with whatever, just
Right.
mix it up.
And honestly, music has came to a place where those are all still like intertwined, like in this area. Like even though you would say this is only a bluegrass song when you would be real traditional. If I took Moonlight Mile and as bluegrass as we were, and I went up to the Twin Cities and I played, they'd still call me bluegrass.
Yes.
They may not call me bluegrass in Kentucky, but they would call me that if I played the same. So
They call you indie bluegrass.
well, whatever. It would still be. It wouldn't be looked at so traditional. And the blues around here has that Appalachian thing to it. The all these other bands, they still have that Appalachian country. All of these genres are seem to be meshing, together. You still see the connections. I'm trying
Yeah.
to say.
Yeah, I can almost tell sometimes, like
Mm-hmm.
without knowing a band or whatever, and someone plays a song, I would almost be like, okay, I bet they're from around this area, just
Yep.
based on what I'm hearing right now. But,
Sure.
it's not always right, but you can just tell.
I love where we are in history as far as like how we are getting those country roots, but also you got the elements of like 90s grunge in there, or you got the elements of indie rock in there, and you got all these elements that are it makes me happy because I love all these things and to see them coming together in the way that they are. There's less cut and dry genres anymore. It's becoming more blended. It seems like when I
Yeah,
go to these concerts, which is awesome. I love it.
yeah, yeah. It's a good thing. Music. I mean, no one's gonna reinvent the wheel. You know what I mean? So it's
Right.
it's always just blend it up, mix it around, and see where it goes.
That's it. And you said so, Ralph. You should try to get Ralph. I love playing with Ralph too. You meant I was going back to touch that on that. He was so nice to us, humble, sweet guy, just really awesome in every way, shape, or form. I got to play with him twice. We got to open for him um, at a little festival in Lexington, and we got to open for him again in Ashland, Kentucky. And he was just a really nice guy. I got to spend some time in the back, and he's just a really nice guy. So if you all can make it happen, I suggest getting Ralph too. He's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Um, Ralph Stanley, he's one of the main reasons why I ended up picking up the banjo.
Yeah.
Um, I grew up on hardcore metal, punk music, and all that.
Yeah.
Somewhere in college, I was just like started getting into bluegrass stuff, and then saw what he was doing with this. Not he was mixing up the Scruggs stuff and having
Right.
he's claw hammering on
Right.
resonator banjos and stuff, and I was like, man, this is in your face loud,
It is.
and that was like hardcore to me.
Well, you can see like people like Billy Strings also had a
Oh
similar
yeah,
background and like what it,
absolutely.
I mean, and you can see it though. He's pretty traditional in the way he plays. You also can see that there's like that connection to metal, in there too. And
Hmm.
they both have similar like what
I get what you're saying.
well, as far as like the instrumentation and really like
Sure.
shredding. I mean, he
He's shredding.
shreds.
Yes.
He is totally shredding. It's different scales, but there's a lot of similarity in the way that they're in the musicality of it, I think. But
Yeah.
yeah, I got to see Ralph twice live when I was a kid, and I mean it was life changing. I just absolutely it was so cool, and he's I've been a huge fan since I can remember. I remember my mom putting on old records when I was a kid and listening to those. So it's
Yeah.
been part of my life.
That's cool.
Yeah.
When you come up this way, especially for the festival in August, if there's time, literally right where we're having the festival, right up the road, um, is where Bill Monroe's campground is, the one he purchased,
Oh,
and they still hold the bluegrass festival there. It's I think
sure.
the longest bluegrass festival still left going.
Yeah.
And he'd have his Uncle Pin days going, but that's where I met Ralph a couple times and seen him
Oh,
play, and um, but a lot of history there. So
yeah. I'll check that out when I come through. So cool.
yeah,
Yeah, it's sad to see those years go by too. I know there's more that we got to go towards and different sounds, but I do miss that. I miss those things, those old times of past, and getting to go to those old bluegrass. You don't realize what you got till it's out and it's gone. Sometimes.
yeah.
Uh,
They're
so it's all.
still
Go ahead.
they still have, like I was saying, that same festival, but man, I tell you, it feels like it's the same lineup every year. So and it's like, man, it's starting to.
It's like this. It's like they're trying to do the same thing that those guys did, but the thing it's like, and I don't mean any shade on anybody or anyone,
No,
but
yeah,
like those guys did something special because that was the time. Like you are never going to have another Ralph Stanley. You're never going to have another Bill Monroe. You're never going to have another. And so when you have these guys, they're great pickers. They're super clean, but it doesn't feel that same that thing they had was the reality. Like this was Ralph's life. This was Bill's life. These are the songs that they're, and it feels in a way it's like they're just copying that and not trying to
yeah.
do a new version. And I
I
have
mean, they
issues
have a
with
lot
it.
of what's left of what the legend, like Larry Sparks comes back every year,
Yeah.
and I
Yes.
mean, he's the legend in what he does, but he's there every year,
Right.
and Ralph too's been coming every year.
Yeah.
They're just kind of carrying on that. But I think some of them, I don't know. I wish they'd mix in some of the up and comers more often too.
Yep. Yeah. Well, that's
Even if
that.
they're straight traditional and they want to keep it
Right.
traditional, at least get some
Yeah.
blood in there. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And some songwriting too. I don't. Sometimes there's not a lot of songwriting happening. It's like they're just covering these old songs from like a. It's like write some stuff. There's more to write about too. Keep it traditional, but write about stuff that's going on now. Like it could
Yeah,
still be. traditional.
Yeah.
We don't have to sing songs, these same songs, over and over again. I love covers, but it would be nice to see some. That's why I like Billy String so much. And he's doing that. He's writing new stuff, but he's also keeping all those roots. But he's also writing this new, saying a little bit more than just copying. What has been done
Right.
1,000 times.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he's the. I mean, he's done the best I've seen at blending
Yeah.
all the worlds for that
Yep.
type of music. And remarkable.
I'll just say it. I think he's the best around right now. And I've gotten
Best guitar player.
I've gotten arguments with my old mandolin player. He's like, Trey Hensley's the best. I'm like, Trey's great, but I just think Billy does something that I still have to say, in my opinion.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, which is very little, but is that Billy? I think is the guy, but it's insane. I think what he does. I liken it to like Tony Rice is like Jimi Hendrix, and Billy Strings is like Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Jimi Hendrix is better than Stevie Ray Vaughan.
He's not because Jimmy's better. Innovated, like created something.
Yeah, but he's also better.
Stevie Ray, you've not listened to Stevie Ray.
I've listened to enough. Stevie
You have not really. Stevie is insanely good.
You're saying he's.
This is all opinions, everyone that's listening.
I have the correct opinion, though.
Asher always believes his opinion is the only one that matters.
Well, it's because it is. Joke.
Oh man. So what else is gonna be happening? I mean, you got a lot going on for 2025 for sure.
True.
The shows are coming out. We're playing Your All's Festival. We're playing a festival in Salt. What's the name of it? You put me on the spot. Salt Lake. Playing a Spice and Sound show.
Headlining that, right?
We actually are. I was trying not to be that guy, but
I'll be that guy.
We are headlining that festival. First time we get to headline a festival, and we're super super stoked about that. My buddy Lawrence Kahn, whose family has ran Poppy for years. Him and his family member are kind of starting to take over Poppy and do some of the Poppy stuff now that some of the family have moved on. And so Lawrence is taking on a thing called Spice and Sounds. He had it last year, and he's doing it again this year. And so he having us headline that, and we're playing Your All's Festival. There's a few other things in the works, but things that I can tell you that are on the books right now. We're playing the Basement in just a couple weeks. Tuesday. Actually, Tuesday. It's not even a week. Next week. Tomorrow will be Tuesdays. It'll be like the following Tuesday. We're at the Basement for the first time. Our debut at the Basement. We're at Train Station again. I'm doing a solo Train Station on Saturday. Then we're at Southgate Revival House. Yep. We're at the Burl. We're headlining our first Burl headlining show. We're super excited for that too with Sasha Colette. Yeah. I love Sasha Colette.
Jimbo's wife.
Not wife.
Girlfriends. Sorry.
But
sorry, Jimbo.
Yeah, I think that the relationship is out there. So if we
be my friend, Jimbo.
We love Jimbo. He's tried to suck up what he tried to do, Jimbo, because he likes you so much. Anyway, Sasha is awesome. If you all go check her out, and then this guy named Pack Horse Librarian is opening up that night. I hear. He looks a lot like this guy here. If you guys go check out Pack Horse Librarian, he's got his first album. I promise you won't like it. It won't be anything like this. It will stretch you. It's very, very emo, but it's folk. I'm pretty proud of him though. Early.
If you like Bright Eyes, if you like Ryan Adams, Wilco.
Bright Eyes especially.
Okay.
Bright Eyes especially. Yeah.
It's very Bright Eyes-ish, and so he recorded it all in his bedroom, wrote all of it, and
then I got an EP coming out Valentine's Day.
Yeah, you already got the second album. Is how many songs?
I don't know what it is.
How many songs is it?
It's 5, but like
it's a lot of noise. I think
there's a lot of just noise.
Yeah,
I like noise.
He's very experimental on the segment. Anyway, so the Burl's happening. Then we're going to be at the Underdog in Nashville. We're going to be working out a show at Dee's Lounge. It's still in the works, but it's probably going to happen.
I should be talking about that.
Maybe I shouldn't have. Dee's, get a hold of me. We're almost there. It's almost official.
So with a lot of all these shows and stuff, they're full band. Like what?
Besides the train station, I think.
The train station is going to be
Oh, yeah,
solo.
you said that.
And on our bands in town, if you go to our bands in town, you can click on
Go to
Spotify.
Spotify. You can just go to
You
Spotify.
can go to Spotify events or bands in town. We keep it up to date. It will say full band show or solo show. Most of these will be full bands, especially the ones that are out. We're going to reschedule Duke's Indy, possibly once, maybe twice.
Hopefully,
There's some stuff in the works there too that I'm very excited.
Hopefully.
But I'm not saying nothing.
Yeah, you better not.
I'm not. And
That's right.
Jonathan opens up his big mouth in the show. Yeah, I do that a lot, folks. There's a lot of cool shows coming, and we are super excited for it. So check out our bands in town and our Spotify events, and we keep it updated. Everything's in there.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, thanks for jumping on here and filming me. I know it was last minute I hit you up. My plan originally was to show up with some camera gear at the Duke show this past weekend, but because of the weather and it got delayed or whatever. So
it's all Asher's fault.
It's all my fault.
Yep.
I am an omnipotent being. That would be really cool if I
An omnipotent being.
I said it wrong. No, I'm not. I just have a power second. But I put down the snow.
Yes. He controls the weather.
It's true.
Yeah. Well, cool. I'll. Do you guys have a website too, or just social media?
We did. I won't get into that either. But long story short, we don't have one right now. But
Okay.
It's not our fault.
That's all we'll say. And my buddy's putting it back together, so we'll have it back up very, very soon. MoonlightMileKY.com will be back up probably within a month. Hopefully.
Let's keep that big. Hopefully.
I'm going to push for it to be open back in a month. It was on there before you buy T-shirts and the whole deal, but
there's a link tree.
There's a link tree that you can take us to our Instagram, our
TikTok.
Well, my TikTok's going away, but
if TikTok does get banned, it won't actually just be deleted off the App Store. You'll still have the app.
Okay.
It just will eventually stop working.
Thank you for explaining that to us all.
You're welcome.
I love the father-son dynamic right now.
Yeah, it can be annoying and also funny all at the same time. But yeah, so our link tree has everything in there, but we will have it. Our website will be back up and rolling again. We're going to be working on some new merch, getting that out there, and vinyls, like I said, and CDs should be coming very shortly, especially the shows later into the summer. We'll have all that, and be another album hopefully by the end of the year too. So be watching.
Yeah. Well, like I said, thanks guys, and I'll put some links in the description for anyone listening wants to check these guys out and follow them on social media. And please come to Pickin in the Backwoods, August 7, 8, 9 this year. So
you don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss it.
No, I think we got something special going on, and a big part of it is the atmosphere. This is like a little slice of heaven tucked in the trees, and it's the best campfire jams in the world are going to happen here too. So,
you might not want to get rid of your
getting rid of my cajon.
He's telling us cajon today. I said you might need it. That's about a bit of time. You have to bring your snare then.
Hashtag biggest cajon hater.
All right on. Well,
thank
we'll
you,
be
brother,
in touch, guys.
Thank you for having us on. Thank you for everything. We appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, keep it up. We'll be in touch.